Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the HBCU Pigskin Showdown, show that we're doing here today every Thursday leading up to the big NFL draft later in Las Vegas. I am joined only by Coach Chris Williams today, as you all are familiar with, I'm sure. Coach Grove and Omar weren't able to join us, but hey, we're still gonna have a blast today. And we got some great interviews lined up. First, none other than Coach Teddy Keaton, head coach of Allen University, HBCU, obviously. So, Coach, I know you're maybe coming on a little bit last minute here, so I appreciate you being flexible and coming on with us.
That's obvious. I'm glad to be on the show. Obviously, I have a long-standing relationship with Coach Chris Williams. He gave me my first opportunity to coach arena football. I'm forever grateful to him. Anything I can do to help him and the show and what you guys are doing is tremendous for HBCU football.
Yeah, Coach.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you coming in here last minute, man. Jackson. Coach and I go way back, man. We could probably sit here for an hour and tell you the stories of the origins of how we met and where this stuff comes from. But he's always been a guy that got my back, and I like to think he knows that I've got his back too. And so we've been riding this football wave for a long time. But I just wanted to have him come in and talk a little bit about, just piggyback on some of the things we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. I mean, we've been, obviously putting on this event, want to do some really good things for these HBCU kids and the exposure for these HBCU kids, but kind of wanted to bring in another perspective from a coach, a head coach who is running an HBCU program, and kind of talk to him about that. So, Coach Keaton, I'm just going to ask you first out, man. I mean, we hadn't talked in a while, but tell us a little bit about the program at Allen. How you guys got it rolling?
Well, we're going on to our fourth season on the field. COVID would have been my fifth year here. We won 4 games last year. We finished number one in total offense in the SIEC, number 28th in the country in Division Two in total offense. I had 3 receivers that had over 1,000 yards. I had a running back that had 700 and some yards of all-purpose yards. I have a really, really talented team. We're just trying to put it all together to figure out what to do, how to do it, and why it's important for them to do it that way. We're transitioning from NAIA to Division Two. All the staff and everybody that's had a big hand in that. That's a tedious task that everybody has to trek upon to make sure we get where we're trying to go. We have the NCAA in our house, and they're monitoring everything that we do. But I feel like we have the program on the right track. It's headed in the right direction. The players are doing their best this spring. As spring is upon us right now, we're in day 12 of our practices, and they're really responding. I had almost 98% of the team that return, so that always lands for good things. I'm just trying to get through this spring semester when those grades come out, and hopefully everybody's still on the bus by that time.
Nice, Coach. I mean, I think not I think, but I know you got yourself a really good quarterback. I was keeping up with kind of his statistics and things. He's still on the right track.
Yes, he is. He's doing a remarkable job. I mean, he's a guy to keep an eye on. He is. I think he was the fourth best quarterback in HBCU football. He threw for like 28, almost right at 3,000 yards, and
Mhm.
he was a true freshman coming out of high school down in Tampa Tech, Tampa Bay, Florida. He reminds you of Kyler Murray,
Yeah.
or kind of. I even like to compare him to Bryce Young. His ability to float in the pocket and be able to find ways to throw the ball. And he got an arm strength of Russell Wilson. He sit yesterday in practice. He was in the morning. He hit a 60-yard bomb, and he was standing flat footed. And I just couldn't do nothing but smile. I mean, it's hard to cover a guy who wants to throw the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. What's his name, Coach?
His name is David Wright the third.
Yeah. I remember looking at him, and yeah, he got yourself a good one. And you said he's a sophomore coming up, right?
The sophomore coming up.
Yeah. So you're gonna have him for a while. That's gonna be a good thing, man. I guess I got to ask you, kind of on the theme of what we've been doing, but what's your take on HBCU ball and kind of what's happening with this new resurgence of guys getting looks and compared to where it's been for the last few years?
I think it's awesome. There's a lot of hidden gems in HBCU football. As you know, Coach Williams, as we was coaching arena football, I brought a lot of guys with me that were really talented football players, and over the years, people have overlooked them, really have not gave them the chance or discredit the quality of football that they were playing. I think now with the transfer portal and the different things, you may go find 5 or 6 guys that are hidden gem. I know at Miles, we had the running back to transfer from Michigan. He was a really, really good football player. I think you guys spoke on him a couple of days ago. He's really, really good. I think there's some awesome guys that's hidden in some of these programs that really people are really not coming to give it a chance. But nowadays they're showing up, they're calling, they're in our huddle, they're watching practice film. I got a couple guys. I got 3 linemen that's 6'5" and one that's 6'7". And everybody's been looking at them, but they're just freshmen and sophomores, and they just don't have room to grow. And then I got a real great defensive end that transferred from me from Mississippi State. He's from Calera, Alabama, and he's 6'5". Harry Thompson Jr. This is his senior year, so everybody got their eyes on him. He's 6'5.5". He's about 245, 250. He plays the defensive end. He, at Mississippi State, he played in the 34. So we kind of transitioned to the 34 this year just so we can help him get a better look at what he's doing.
Yeah, that's right. Coach, do you think the league is listening? I know Coach Sanders a couple of weeks ago was kind of upset that all the teams didn't come to his pro day. But then on the flip side of that, Florida A&M, had almost, I guess they might have had 28. They were only missing 4 teams at theirs. So do you think the league is listening to what we're trying to get them to see?
Absolutely. I mean, at one time, they would only send one guy. I know when I was the head coach of Stillman, they'll send 1 or 2 guys over. But the great part about it is if all 32 teams show up, that's really excellent. But the data is transferred through everybody. So it goes through hands and hands. So if only one team showed up, you got somebody to look at and they're going to put the numbers into the system and somebody's going to see it. And then they're going to call you back and say, can we get a more exclusive workout with this guy? I want to interview him one-on-one. They got now with Zoom and Skype and all these different things that's out there. There's ways to see kids, and I think the NFL done a tremendous job to respond to what the talent that we have there.
That's right. I think you're right about that. I think sometimes you may just not get every team at every pro day, but if you got some good, I thought, and I know what he's doing. I mean, he wants to make sure that people understand that they're gonna have to be looking at this a few years from now once we start getting these high school kids in. So I get what he's doing. But at the same time, on the football piece of it, I mean, he had 22 teams there, I think, and I think that just varies from team to team. But as far as he's concerned, I mean, and some of these other guys, Hugh Jackson, and have you had a chance to have much interaction with that group of HBCU head coaches and how you
No,
feel about what they bring?
No, I'm kind of like Belichick. I kind of stay to myself. I really cool with a lot of people. If they come to me, I will. But I want to take it backwards. I think that they need to do a better job of paying homage to HBCU football prior to integration. There were a lot of guys that played in the NFL way before Deion Sanders showed up or anybody else showed up. I think that they're not giving the credit to what was there. I think Deion just gave us a platform to be able to put it on stage and say that here it is. And I don't want to say that with no disrespect. I think what Dion has brought to HBCU football has been more than a voice, and we appreciate that. But I think there was HBCU football long before that, and prior to integration, a lot of the great players that played there before that time, there were a lot of them, and Dion is attracting a different type of player at Jackson State now that it kind of unevens the playing field with the facilities, the different things he's getting, the 5 stars that he's recruiting. It kind of puts it on blast to be able to say, hey, we need to do better as an organization to be able to give our kids an opportunity to give them a choice to want to come to us.
Right, right. I mean, what is that? How's that transfer portal playing into what's happening with some of those guys coming over?
I think it's helped a lot of places like myself, a small HBCU. It's helped us find guys to be immediate fit. I'm not a truly total fan of the transfer portal. I feel like if I can find a guy that's got proven, he's been on the field somewhere. Most of the guys that's in the transfer portal hopped in the transfer portal because they couldn't play somewhere else.
Yeah.
Some guys that can play, they already been auctioned off and traded between the teams that could play. Take for instance the quarterback that went from Oklahoma to University of South Carolina from the one that went from somewhere else to USC over in California. Those guys have already been auctioned off. So the guys that are really in there are not your typical. They're trying to prove or find a place to play, and they probably made a piss poor decision when they decided to go to college. That if I was trying to get into the University of Alabama and they got 12 running backs already there, and a couple of other schools didn't have a running back, but I just wanted to go to the University of Alabama because it sounds better. I chose that route, and then I got there and figured out that I might not play 4 years because there's a couple guys ahead of me. Those guys jump in the portal so they can go find a better place that they may have a chance to go play at.
Right. That makes a lot of sense, Coach. I get that. A lot of sense. You know what? But I guess before I ask you, I'm gonna put you on the spot and talk a little bit about these quarterbacks. I'm gonna ask Jackson. You got anything for Coach Keaton?
Absolutely, absolutely, Coach Keaton. One thing that I love about HBCUs and I guess small college football programs in particular is that it's not like Texas where you have a Ferrari on the field during recruiting visits or like Florida with these flashy outfits. Man, it's just you got to sell yourself on your actual substance. There's no fluff. There's nothing else. Coach, what's your recruiting pitch to guys of why they should come play for you at Allen?
Well, it's mostly about me. You're the salesman. Every day you're asking yourself, what are you selling? If you continue to produce good guys and they see that, and you got good programs and people can see those things visibly, they'll come to you. A lot of times when you play at these unknown schools like Brown, and it's not just HBCUs, there's a lot of PWIs that have unknown schools. The coach has to sell his program on what he's doing, and his players got to speak volumes of him. I've learned over the years that you have to treat the players with they're your walking billboard. You got to treat them with a certain degree of respect, and we talk more about getting an education, but obviously a kid who wants to continue his playing career has higher goals to want to go and do something else. I really miss the days of arena football when it was very prevalent because there was an opportunity to sell a kid another opportunity or a dream.
Yep.
Coach Williams would tell you that there's a lot of kids that played way past the time they should have been playing. They should have had a job by that time, but you can't tell a kid when to put a timestamp on when he was done with playing football because we all know that's the hardest transition, even as coaches. When is it time to give it up? When are you running a program in the ground? When have you ran your body out? Try telling that to the quarterback, Tom Brady, right now that he's too old to play football, and he'll prove you differently.
That's right.
I love what you said that your players are like your walking billboard for your program, right? And you got to
That's
treat
right.
them with respect. No, I couldn't agree more. Um, Coach, looking at year to year, kind of more, how much do you adapt off of your personnel? You said you had what 98% of your
Yes,
players coming
yes,
back.
yes.
How much does that vary from year to year? Or are you more of a, hey, I have my system, I'll plug and play and just find the most talented guys out there that I can?
Well, as you heard me say earlier, I alluded to it. I transferred to a 3-4 from a 4-2-5 with these high-powered offenses and different things. Now you got to get more athletic guys on the field because you got RPO on the second level, RPO on the third level, and it's almost like you got to have guys that can be able to play the run. At one point in time, you was looking for this big burly linebacker that could really stuff the hole. Now you're looking for a guy that can sink and get into cover two, probably play the hole in cover three, get to the number three receiver if they're in trips. It's a lot of things that you're looking for differently. Um, I think that the selling point for any program is how well you adjust. I think and Nick Saban happens to be one of my favorite coaches. I've always admired what he does. He was
Mhm.
probably one of the oldest coaches that learned how to adjust. When he went in and changed his offense, he was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. When football changed, he changed. When he bought Lane Kiffin in, even though it was probably the struggle of the world to see the ball slung around all the way around, but he adjusted and he changed. When then he got Sark. Sark was the same way. Those guys slung the ball around. So he had to change his defense because he understood that the game was evolving. It's now becoming what me and Coach Williams would say basketball on grass now because these high scoring games are coming. And now people want to watch football, but they don't want to watch slow football. They want to see people scoring touchdowns and celebrating and dancing. So defenses had to catch up. So now the type of kids you're looking for, you had a guy that was 6'5", 280 or run a 4.5. Come on now. I mean, the overall athletic ability of a kid now has changed tremendously.
Yeah.
It's going off of that. This is an opinion that I've had for a little while now, but you're a lot closer to it than me, so I want to get yours. I feel like that a lot of these kids in high school have gone. If you're about the size of a receiver or a corner and you're pretty athletic, you automatically go to the receiver side of the ball, and that's why in the draft every year, I mean, it's a dime a dozen for these receivers, aside from the Jamar Chases and Justin Jeffersons. And then in the trenches, if you're pretty athletic and about the size of a lineman, you go on the defensive side as an edge rusher, and that's why there's an offensive line shortage for nearly everyone right now. Is that something you agree with, or is that something that you see at the high school level?
Well, I think America has made it uncool to be fat. So, no, if you see my linemen, they don't look like linemen. They're 6'5". They may be 300, but they look like they're just tall, slender, built guys. And offensive lineman is probably the harder skill technique to teach now, because a lot of it's about track running and being powerful. And if you can't keep and maintain your weight, then that becomes an issue. And then when you got a guy, if he's too big, and you got a guy that's running a 4.5 at 270, or linebackers playing the outside edge, and that tackle got to kick to try to catch up with him, that becomes an issue for any team. I see it every day at practice when Kerry goes against two of my best linemen. They have to struggle every day, and they got to be on their horses because it seems like they never stop. And nowadays, when you was talking about the retention piece, I failed to mention that it becomes hard to retain a kid now because of the transfer portal. Everybody's looking for the best next place. If I end up number 2, you can't shop for 1 year. You're only building a team for a season. It's almost become like coaching an arena team or coaching a pro football team. You're going to have gaps to fill in. After spring ball, there's going to be some guys that are identified that I'm number 3 on the depth chart, or I'm number 2, and especially at the quarterback spot, running back spot, receiver spot. Mostly old linemen will stay in place. If they got a spot or they number 2, they going to stay. But it's your skill guys that want to go find and look for a better home, because nobody wants to sit on the bench. It's not cool. They can't handle failure like that.
Yeah.
The transfer portal, it's not going anywhere, unfortunately. But I just wish there was like a window, right? Like the trade deadline with, you have a trade deadline. You can't do anything until the league new year in March. Like, man, just have a window where, hey, maybe in the first couple weeks of the season, hey, this team isn't for me. I'll jump in the transfer portal. But, man, we have guys like, saying right before their bowl game, hey, after the bowl, I'm going to trend. Like, it's just no way to do football.
Well, I think it's gonna happen. Everything was so new. I think Coach Saban warned us. He had an interview where he told us we're opening up college free agency right now. So with that being said, we gotta mastermind a way of how to control it. We're facing some times now where the Power Fives can kind of control everything that go on. If you notice, they don't say NCAA, football championship. It say the college football championship, because the Power Fives are controlling everything that's going on. So they could break away from their institutions and have a league of their own, and would really hurt small college football and things of that nature there. So now we just kind of have to play with it and see how it goes. And I'm sure there's meetings on top of meetings behind closed doors to figure out how to come up with a way to slow it down, to make it where it's not you can just go steal my running back off my team, and it's just open free recruiting now. I mean, I'm thinking I got him, and here comes June and I don't have him no more. And it's kind of like the subdivisions are struggling, because if somebody lose their quarterback and there's a great one at subdivision and they offer him a full scholarship, he's going to he wants to play. Who does not want to play big time college football? So now if the FBS loses, Division II start losing. So if Division II got a great quarterback down there and the FCS want him, they're going to go get him. So now Division III get a great quarterback, and Division II going to be robbing them. So it's kind of like going to be a cherry picking thing.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, it looks that way for sure. Yeah.
Cool. I just got my last thing, Coach. We're going to try to rush you out of here, but I know you're a quarterback guy, man. So I wanted to see what you thought. I got to tell you, man. I like Aqeel Glass. I think Aqeel Glass is the cream of the crop, and is that number one guy of HBCU QB prospects. But I don't believe, like a lot of people believe, that there's a big gap between him and some of these other guys that would be on that list. So just, I'm a really big Jet Duffy fan. I mean, and if you were asking me to put a grade on it, the grade that I give a quill is probably not going to be very much, but a tenth of a point higher than where I'm at with Jet Duffy. So got to ask you what you think about these. You don't have to go through the whole list, but who the guys you think stand out that should get a shot?
I'm gonna get the top two: Akil Glass and Jet Duffy. Jet Duffy is number one in my book as well. The
Mm-hmm.
difference with Akil Glass, I don't think he's mobile as you would like for him to be. Jet Duffy got the whole package. He could play for me any day, and I think he's
Yeah.
very well could play for anybody any day.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they really look at him in the way the new modern quarterback for NFL and the way they having to adjust because of the type of athletes that are coming out, Akil Glass will fade away soon because you can't protect him for only so long. I told you they're getting fast. They're getting faster. They're getting faster, and people are coming at you, and they're playing more man to man than ever. Jet Duffy, you're going to control him in the pocket, and he got an arm. He can sling that thing, and he puts it on a dime.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely right, coach. And me personally, I think the background. If you compare the backgrounds, I mean, Jet Duffy was an FBS kid, man. Right?
No doubt about it.
Yeah, Texas High School Player of the Year. So I just believe that people are underestimating him. And in a lot of my thoughts, I think Quill, and I try to toe the line. I don't want to downgrade a Quill because he can play, but he also plays in a very, very pass friendly offense. I mean, they do a lot of good concepts coming with Connell Maynard being a former arena guy passing the ball, and I just think he's in a really good system. Jet Duffy in that same system, we might be talking about him all the time, right?
I think so too. I think that you hit it spot on. I think both of them have a space in the
Mm-hmm.
NFL world. It's
Yep.
just who gets them and how they use them.
Mm-hmm.
But Jet Duffy could have a long lasting career. I think if Jet Duffy decides to go play at Cincinnati or somewhere else, Jet Duffy would be conversated about a lot more.
Yeah.
But because he decided to go to Hampton, they downgrading and downplaying where he's at, or maybe I don't know who evaluating people, but I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
all know that there's a lot of failure when it comes to evaluation. Everybody doesn't see it the way everybody sees it, but at the end of the day, I'm with you, Coach Williams, all the way. If I had to pick and I wanted a quarterback, I'm going to go back to my Belichick mode. He's the type of guy that'll get a Jet Duffy and
Yeah.
sit him down him a year or two to develop and falls into place. And I think that's where your HBCUs and your small college, I think Coach Belichick made a living out of Brown University and these little small schools
Yeah.
where you find guys that you be like, where Wes Welker came from? Well, who is this guy? Where did he come from?
Yep.
And they make him famous because he shops because he can buy them at a bargain there, and you don't overspend, and you can get 5 or 6 of those guys. If they become great, you win. However many Super Bowls you didn't won with those guys.
That's right. 100% right. I guess we're gonna get a chance here in a few weeks to see how this draft shakes out. But coach, on the last minute, man, I love you to death like a brother, and I appreciate you coming in here. And I'm gonna get you back to your coaching staff. What you heading to a coaches meeting, or you got something with the team?
No, 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 no. We got practice. We practice every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. So
Gotcha.
we've
Gotcha.
already done everything for the day. We usually done by 3 o'clock. We just we'll have a few team meetings and different things of that nature there. We're all doing what you're doing right now. I was watching film, getting ready because we're going to scrimmage tomorrow.
Okay.
Because we got some things coming up this weekend that we need to do. So I'm excited about practice in the morning. Tonight I probably won't be able to sleep because this is
Yeah.
the second scrimmage. I'm trying to see how well this new defense we put in versus our offense. Our offense has been pretty much ahead, and that's not a good thing. I always tell people that if the offense is beating your defense, it should be an even balance, some
Yeah.
stops here, things of that nature. That's how you know you got a good team. But if you're out there and you're just shredding your team, then to a individualized coach, if you just calling plays, you'll be like, yeah, we beat you today. But if you really coaching for the team concept, you're like, oh, we got a problem.
Yeah. That's right. 100%, coach. Well, thank you for doing this, my man, and good luck with everything. And we'll be talking soon. And we just keep on rocking and rolling like we always do, bro.
That's right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks
You
for coming
too.
on, Coach.
Thank you,
You're
coach.
welcome.
Great stuff from Coach. Learned a lot. Definitely got a few notes from that. But yeah, how long do you guys? So you guys go back, way back, right?
Oh yeah, man. We go back to probably as far as 2000. Gosh, maybe 2003 is when we first met.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit.
so we go way back. I could tell you some stories, man. We got stories for days, but we have to be at a bar drinking beers to tell all those stories.
Yes, sir. Well, our next guest is going to be Coach Justin Hanna from Tuskegee. He is both the defensive backs coach and special teams coach, and I believe he's coming on in just a couple minutes. And yes, he's on the coaching side now, but don't forget he was on the 2010 HBCU All-American team. So don't forget he's got that athletic and very successful college football background as well.
That's right. Coach Hanna, is Coach Hanna in there now? Bobby's Coach Hanna in? Coach Hanna now is currently at
He's just adjusting his screen.
Okay. Yeah, he's currently at Shades Valley High School down in Alabama, which is one of those powerhouse high schools that's always competing for state championships. And that Birmingham area is really, really competitive high school football. Hoover High School down in that area too. Remember the 2A series from back in the day. Coach Hanna's a good one and really, really polished defensive back guy as his go-to position. So, Coach Hanna, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Once again, I'm Coach Hanna, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm in a tight spot right now, but I did want to make sure that I did jump on and give you guys everything I had.
That's right. We appreciate
I appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah, Coach.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and it's okay. I mean, we all good where we at right now. We can hear you, so that's all good. But because Coach is at the coaches convention down there in Tuscaloosa right now, just so everybody knows. But Coach, we're just a quick question on your thoughts about kind of what's happening with this resurgence of HBCU kids getting an opportunity at the next level, and kind of how you feel about what some of those strong voices that have been part of that.
First of all, I think it's an extreme blessing just to be a part of anything that's attached to the HBCU. I think it's a great experience for the culture. I think it's a great experience, and it's a well-set standard for not just the athlete, but the athlete's attachments. So many people that are attached players nowadays to where, it's an influence. It is a standard, I think it's very admirable to say, hey, my uncle went to Tuskegee, my uncle went to Howard University, my uncle or my aunt played basketball at Miles College. I think it's an honor to be attached to any HBCU, and I think what man, and the exposure that these kids are getting now, you just can't put a price on it. I've always thought that talent, people will find good talent, and you don't have to now you don't have to go to Alabama or Florida to be noticed. You can easily go to Tuskegee University, play at the HBCU Pigskin Showcase, and get drafted, get looked at, get the same looks that you would get looked at if you were at a Alabama or if you were at a Florida Atlantic.
That's
Florida
right.
Atlantic. I'm sorry.
That's right. My coach was coached in our game, coached the defensive backs for us at the Pigskin Showdown when he was on the staff at Tuskegee at that time. So, Coach, I gotta ask you, what does the game do? I mean, when you came in and you got a chance to experience that, especially experiencing that in the Black Belt region of Alabama and Selma and Marion and all the history there, how did you feel that the opportunity that we were giving to these kids? Did you feel like we were on the right track and doing something good for them?
Yes, sir. I think that is not only a right track. I think that it is a pipeline. I think that it is a gold mine, just because it's so much talent that is hidden at big schools, at small schools, at JUCOs. It's so much talent that's hidden that just can't be, recovered. And I think that this is an awesome way of saying, hey, we have great guys here, not only in HBCU, but we have great guys in small colleges or small universities that aren't getting noticed. And this is an opportunity to not just give a couple of guys that are good, but this is an opportunity to give, 56 guys from Selma and 56 guys from Marion a chance to exploit their talents and to show God-given talent. It's not about, people just being able to catch a football. It's about, God being able to bless these kids, being able to bless these kids to be one student athletes and to exploit the talents that God has given them to to um to find happiness or to find their future or to find their way of life. And one thing that was great that you guys did was expound on education. A lot of the kids that I know with Team Marion, a lot of the kids with Team Marion, they were on path to having jobs outside of football, whether they got signed or not. I think Coach Downings did a great job by speaking on, just mentoring as being, good men, and I think that was one of the great components that we were able to kind of shine light on. I was blessed and fortunate enough to play for the Cleveland Browns, but it was short lived. But at the end of the day, it made me a good man. So at this moment, I'm a good father, I'm a good teacher, I'm a good coach because of avenues and such. And I wish nothing but the best, and I hope to continue to be a part of the HBCU Pigskin because of what it is not only doing for the student athletes that are playing, but it's also doing a lot for that small town in Marion. It's an Army base. The people in that community, the people in that area, they were very, very loving. They accepted us, they embraced us, and we had a good time. We had a really, really great time.
That's right. I appreciate you saying that. I think, we definitely want you to stay with us as long as you would like to stay with us. We're going to keep building this platform for these kids. And, I think, one thing that I always tell people, coach, is that, a lot of times people think about the Legacy Bowl first, or they think about the HBCU Combine. And, obviously those people have access to NFL Network and different things. But I tell people that all of these things go together. I mean, I think, obviously, there may be an unknown kid that comes through our game that can catapult himself and get into those events. And that happened this year,
Mm-hmm.
probably 30 times over this year. So I guess my question is just, kind of asking you is what do you think that importance of, this is all one mission. We're all on the same mission that Coach
Mm-hmm.
Sanders is on and Eddie George, every Hugh Jackson. I mean, all of us are on the same mission when we're talking about trying to create platforms for these kids. So how important do you think it is for everybody to work together?
Well, I think it's important. I think it's essential that we remain focused on the objectives that HBCU was founded on. It was all founded on the next man. It was all founded on helping. It's all founded on uplifting. And with those objectives and those components, it's nothing but success. And I think that with those components and coach, you were able to expound that, hey, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than the coaches. It's bigger than the players. This annual game is for Joshua that will play 10 years from now, right?
Yep.
It's bigger than Joshua the guy that will play 15 years. This is a legacy. We're creating something very, very special. And man, it's an awesome thing to be a part of it. And like I say, the found what it's built on has no choice but to last because it's built right and it's built for a good purpose and a good cause.
That's right. 100%. 100%. Any questions for Coach Jackson?
Absolutely, Coach Hanna. First of all, thanks so much for coming on. I know you're got a busy week, and I appreciate you cutting out some time for us.
Yes, sir.
So going back before you came on, I was just trying to brag on you a little bit. You're on the 2010 HBCU All-American team, and you're quite the athlete back with that. And you actually in high school, it looks like played football, basketball, and track and field. Did those experiences help you in football, and do you encourage your players under you right now to be multi-sport athletes?
Well, now I think it's important that you do a lot of different things to catapult not just a football player, not just a basketball player. Everything in life is essential and it works together, right? Because the things that sports, not just football, the things that sports have taught me, it has helped me to be a better man. It has helped me to be a better father. It has helped me to be a better coach. And the more that you can relate to sports, the more you can relate to things in life. And like I say, HBCU Pigskin is founded upon, making good making student athletes good men as well as football players. And I think that what helped me also was that playing those different sports, I was able to learn, a lot more about myself and to strengthen myself in other areas outside of the God-given talent, right? So as a football player, I needed to approach things differently as far as just being the leadership of it, the camaraderie, the locker room camaraderie, the punctuality. It's those components that, we don't get a lot at home or we don't get a lot from, at school. But, to get those components from your coach, hey, it's important to be at practice 10 minutes early because you need to be at work 10 minutes early. It's okay to be, how it's just being able to channel frustrations. How do you handle adversity? I think being able to play basketball, you handle adversity because the game is not as long. In football, you handle adversity just because it's a lot more physical, right? So just being able to tie those components to build men. The HBCU Pigskin is about building men, not just football players. I want to make sure I continue to expound on that. Coach Williams made it known. Once I talked to him about jumping on, he made it known that these are student athletes, not football players. These are student athletes. Sorry about that. These are student athletes that we're building to become men. And I think playing more than one sport just it helped me a lot in those areas.
Absolutely. No, I love that. It's all sports, but I think it was the great LaDainian Tomlinson that said football is a microcosm of life, right? And that's true for all sports and all the lessons that it teaches you, for sure.
Yes, sir.
I love that you're on the coaching side now and can pass that along because I'm sure you tons of guys that have learned a lot from you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
For your players that are trying to make it into the league or play football at the next level, most of them are probably going to have to make that initial 53-man roster at least because of their special teams impact. Who are some of the guys on your team that take that phase of the game seriously, and maybe there'll be a special teams ace come August, and that allows them to become a contributor at their actual position?
Well, as a coach, I think that special teams are special. I think that unless you're the quarterback, you should be on special teams. I don't think that special teams is negotiable. One thing about the University of Alabama, every first round draft pick that has ever come through there has not only played but has made plays on special teams. I think that and see, that's the humility that I speak on, or those different components, because you see the starting wide receiver, he's on punt return, or he's the gunner on punt, doing things that are special. So it's like, humble yourself to where you're going to contribute to the team any way that you possibly can. And see, that teaches humility, that teaches honor, that teaches, value. Those components is what, we try to exploit and try to get our kids to understand before they get to the next level, right? And like I say, those are the components that Coach Williams and what this pigskin is built upon. Those essentials, and we try to exercise them not only during this annual game or during this game, but as well as when we leave.
That's right.
Absolutely. No, I love that. I just love that the emphasis is on life and life lessons, right? And if you're a better person and a better man, it's probably going to make you a better football player too. So no, I absolutely love that, Coach. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah,
No,
Coach.
thank you guys. Thank you guys, Coach Williams. I love you, man. Thank you for everything
Very
that you're
back.
doing for me and my family. Thank you for everything that you're doing for this generation and this culture, Coach.
Yeah, we love you right back. And I got to say this, man, as a guy who did it at the HBCU level, and a guy who did it at a high level, and who took yourself all the way into an NFL situation through the HBCU chain. I mean, if these kids, can't listen to it from you, there's probably not very many people to listen to it from. So we love having you around. We want you to stay around with us, and we just know what you lend to these kids and what you bring to the table when it comes to that. So just happy to have you around us, man, and we shall talk to you soon. And thank you for doing this for us tonight.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Coach. Thanks,
Yeah.
Mr. Jackson. Hope you guys have a great night.
Hey, have a good one.
Yes, sir. You have a good
All
one.
right.
All right, Jackson. So we'll get close. I don't know. We may be able to discuss a little bit about our D line just between you and I, Jackson, before we get out of here. And then, because I don't think we're not gonna get Carl. We'll get Carl and Rafik in here next week. But
Perfect.
if we can pop up that defensive line, pop there it is, and then we can talk about that. And I mean, I'm just gonna pick out a couple of guys. We talked to Michael Badejo last week, and man, this it just only gets better for him. I mean, he's just recently, I think I was reading about, had some contact with the 49ers, and the Texans were there and working him out at Pro Day, and he went to a Canadian Football League workout, and I think it was Saskatchewan he worked out for, and really worked out well at that one. So I think Michael Badejo is really starting to pick up some traction. I mean, I think we're gonna see him definitely get into somebody's camp, get a chance to compete. I'm really a big Deshaun Dixon fan out of Norfolk State. Now, he played alongside with Chris Myers at Norfolk State, and they had a really good defensive line combo there. And talking about combos, you're talking about Jeremiah Kane, defensive tackle out of Mississippi Valley State, also Jerry Garner out of Mississippi Valley State. And I think Jerry Garner is a guy that can play on the edge as a defensive end, edge rush guy, but I also think he's athletic enough to go back and play some outside linebacker too. So, and that kid is a gym rat. I mean, he is. If there's anybody who's getting prepared right now, and you can see that in his performance at the HBCU Combine, played really well with us at our game at the Pigskin Showdown, and then went down to the HBCU Legacy Bowl. So he's another guy that's had a really good pre-draft off-season. So I really like Jerry Garner's chances, and a kid that we're going to talk to next week, Rafik Abdul Wahid out of Chowan. And we always talk about Chowan not necessarily being an HBCU, but they played an HBCU conference. And Rafik is a guy, and I'll save some of our stuff for him next week when we talk to him. But really, really, really strong-handed inside guy, and we'll break some of that stuff down next week. And then another guy I'll mention here. I'll just say this. A lot of these kids have come from that transfer portal that we've talked about. But Dejo's a guy who started at SMU. Savion Williams at Florida A&M was a guy that started at Tennessee. So a lot of these kids have found the HBCU route to really get themselves on the map and get that opportunity. So, had they not made those moves in some cases, I even think Kaylon Davis out of Arkansas Pine Bluff was a transfer out of Arkansas State. So a lot of these kids have really made this move work for them, and we're just hoping and praying they get some shots at the next level.
Absolutely. No, a lot of these guys, like you said, Michael Badejo, former SMU Mustang, right there, transferring out there to Texas Southern. A lot of these guys, like you said, do get their shot because of the transfer portal. And so there are certainly pros and cons to it. You hate to see it. Definitely one of the cons is you hate to see it as just kind of quitting on a team, right, and just going elsewhere. One of the pros is, hey, who knows if we're talking about Michael if he doesn't make that move from SMU. So, no, definitely pros and cons. I'm glad some of these guys have gotten noticed, and especially at the HBCU level. I really love how Dixon has developed as a rush defender, too, because he's always been a pretty good edge rusher, but now he's stuffing the run, too, which is something that he has, had to improve on from his starting years. Jerry Gardner, man, he had a lot of plays, it seemed like, that led to picks, and maybe you don't see it on the stat sheet, but just, well, I guess you do it with quarterback hurries, but man, he's talented. The only thing I'd like to see from him is maybe a little bit more calculated use of his hands. Sometimes, like you said, he's a gym rat, and sometimes he just goes at it right, and maybe could be a little more deliberate. But man, I'd rather have a guy who's just like a beast and maybe not the most deliberate than a guy who's very deliberate but doesn't have that physical ceiling. So certainly, whatever team he can go to, hopefully, can develop him at that. Jamal Holloway, he actually, I don't know if this is accurate, but I think it was from NFL Draft Scout.com that he had a 1.58-10 split as his pro day. The 4.82-40 does back that up. He's got an 80-inch wingspan, so he's got the size and the get off, which are the two things you need as an edge rusher in order to be successful. And so, man, if that 1.58 is accurate, that is insane. And then going back to I think it was it Owens? I can't remember if it was Owens or Myers that I was watching, and it was like the opposing offense was running like the Kyle Shanahan type play where like, hey, let's just do like a jet sweep going left and like not block the right defensive end because he'll probably you probably don't have to worry about him. And he just had like the speed to catch up to the ball carrier.
Yeah.
So man, the speed on these defensive ends, like we were talking about earlier with Coach Keaton, like the speed and the athleticism of these guys is so much higher than it used to be. And man, hopefully we can see a few of these guys from the HBCUs take advantage of that. And hey, if you can just get a shot and get, as a UDFA, get on the 90-man roster, and then if you can make past the first couple cuts, shine in the preseason. You don't have to, maybe you're not the greatest in practice. Maybe you're a gamer. That's how Austin Eckler was found, is, not the highest coming out, didn't do that great in practice, but man, when the lights were on and the real jerseys were on in the preseason, he shined. So definitely looking forward to watching these guys, seeing where they land on, assorted UDFA trackers right after the draft, and then watching them in August. I always say contributors in August just to make it to September, right? So hopefully that's where we see these guys.
That's absolutely right. It's a really deep group too, man. I mean,
oh yeah,
from 1 to 15, I mean, you can make an argument for each of those guys getting some type of a shot. I mean, whether you're talking, rookie minicamp opportunity looks or, just getting in as an undrafted free agent. I mean, it's a deep group that you have to really take a look at, because you may miss a gem in there if you don't take a shot.
Absolutely. And man, all these guys, I kind of the transfer thing with some of these where they're at their old school and maybe didn't get noticed. One guy that will not be the case for is Jet Duffy, who we talked about earlier. Maybe he didn't get the exposure he deserves at Hampton, but he certainly did at Texas Tech, and even was under Cliff Kingsbury, as we talked about when we interviewed him a few weeks back. I think that was like our first interview.
Yeah.
Here. So, hey, who knows? Maybe he lands in Arizona as a backup to Kyler. So, I don't know if Colt McCoy's still there or not. But
that's right. You never know. Yeah. But I think we had us a good show tonight. I wanted to bring different perspective to it, get a couple of coaches in there and kind of talk about things. So we definitely appreciate Coach Keaton and Coach Hannah coming in and giving us that perspective. And we'll get back to a couple of guys next week. But that was a good conversation with both guys tonight.
Absolutely. I love that we had coaches on this week, because it's like a lot of the guys we interview, it's like, hey, we're holding out hope that they can just get signed and make a shot. There's no stress with the guys we interviewed this week. We can wish them success at their respective programs, and definitely keep an eye on them next fall.
That's right. Well, that's all I got, Jackson. So I guess we can get ready to see each other next week. We could probably get all the guys back next week, I think, too.
Yeah, we'll have the band back together with Omar and Coach Grove coming back next week. And thank you, everyone, for watching another edition of this. Hopefully, we'll have a couple prospects next week, a couple that weren't able to make it on this week that we had scheduled. Why Coach Keaton had to come on last minute. But, hey, we'll have him on next week. And looking forward to getting to know some of these prospects a little bit better.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, man. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. And Omar, this is for you. Peace, love, and soul, everyone.
Take it easy, man.